Today I'm going to talk about positive thinking and why it can be very dangerous. If you think about positive thinking, we are told that if we think anything negative, it will happen. So we're constantly policing our thoughts. And it sort of suggests that we should deny what's going on. Now, you have to understand that not everything is positive, and that if there were no negative, we would never be able to make a distinction. It's only our value system that makes an observation about whether something is positive or negative or good or bad. So this, to me, the pressure to think positively has been completely misinterpreted. And what happens is you put yourself in danger because your biological system experiences fear to keep you safe. That is why you have fear. Okay, we confuse fear with anxiety. And anxiety is our minds imagining all the bad things that could happen. And this is where you need to make a distinction. Before you start beating yourself up because you're not having a positive thought, you need to take a second and just assess the true danger of any situation. And then, if you see clearly that you are making up fantasies of worst-case scenarios, then absolutely bring this positivity in and start doing manifestations and affirmations and whatever all those processes are. But I think it's very dangerous to assume, as we are pushed to, that somehow we think negatively and that it must be treated like some kind of a disease that needs to be corrected. Many of the processes that we experience were there for a reason, and the fact that we're being encouraged to doubt our own reason is part of what's making all the anxiety and creating a herd mentality where you can be controlled. So before you rush to clean up your thoughts, have a moment and consider the actual danger. Now, in the reverse case, we all have a tendency to think about bad things that happened in the past. Now, this is also dangerous because when you think about bad things that happened in the past, you tend to repeat them. I had a driving instructor that taught us that to not look at pedestrians because he said you hit what you drive towards. It was a very convincing argument, and that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So you have to make a distinction and the way that I make the distinction, I've taught many of my students, is to ask myself, when is this happening? So very often if I start thinking about something like my mother or whatever, and I can feel myself going sort of into that negative space that we're not supposed to go into, I will simply interrupt the conversation and say, where am I? Am I in 1969 or 1989, or am I here having a thought about something that happened in the past that made me unhappy? And being able to do this is far more powerful than positive thinking. So what I'd like you to consider is to learn to not negatively think based on reality is a far more powerful technique, and it frees you now to use these wonderful imagination techniques where you act as if something is going on. But it can't work when you're in the state where you're denying your physical reality that may or may not be in danger, and maybe you're having the negative thoughts for a reason. So consider reframing what you hear from the media about positive thinking and understand what positive thinking is, because positive thinking is all about taking care of you. If you're enjoying the conversation, see the links below.